And it says we're live. Okay. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Well, it's Jeff, Godless Scummer, back again. Got a guest with me today, Mr. David Worley. He's had me on his channel a few months back and interviewed me. So tonight I'm going to kind of turn the tables a little bit. Now, David doesn't drink, but I am drinking beer tonight. So I guess I'm going to be playing the role of Lance. Now I expect pretty much anyone who's watching it, anyone who'll be watching this, kind of knows who you are already, David. But just on the odd chance anyone who watches this doesn't know who you are, do you just want to quickly introduce yourself and tell us about your channel and what it is you do?
Yeah, sure thing. I just noticed as I go into the stream, I'm in the live chat as well, that you've hit 200 subscribers. I don't wish to belittle those 200 subscribers.
You noticed that
during the course of this. Sorry, yeah. So I have done a channel for what feels like a few weeks, but it's actually been like a couple of years now, where I have interviewed some of the most prominent names within the atheist community, sometimes more than once, and I have a number of them on my whiteboard behind me that have confirmed a third date, and I'm going back and forth with various different people. Got a message from somebody called GM Skeptic, whoever he is, that sort of thing. Dan Barker is probably going to come back on very shortly as well, so some interesting names that are coming back. And I just try and have some normal conversations with them, some more relatable conversations where we don't necessarily go off into religion. We do touch upon it because it's important when it's trying to understand context of why Jenna is crying about Jenna Belk is crying about her dad not turning up to her wedding because it wasn't Christian enough. That context needs to be there. But for the most part, we go into politics, we go into ethics, morality, not really that much in terms of philosophy. I just like to throw some curveballs out there, and just trying to get people thinking, especially from within atheist circles.
Okay, thanks. Well, what we're here to actually talk about mainly today is Davecon. Now, you're organising an event that's taking place in London, April the 4th, I believe, at David Game College in London. There's going to be some quite big names in sort of atheist YouTube community sort of speaking there. Aaron Ra, Lloyd Evans, Rachel Oates, Faye the Most Gracious. I believe now Rationality Rules is coming along. Is there anyone I've missed there?
Saf from the Sinning Skeptics as well.
Why do I keep forgetting Saf? I apologise.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I think it's because
if she watches this. I'm sorry, Saf.
Yeah, she does a little bit of audio for a podcast called Sinning Skeptics, and she goes off into. She's part of the ex-Muslim side of things like Faye. So it's a very interesting mix of like ex-Muslim sort of neo-pagans such as or ex-neo-pagans such as yourself and Aaron, ex-Jehovah like Lloyd. So there's definitely a lot of different ideas that are coming out of the event. How far should we go back with the actual event as to how we got here?
Okay, well, before we jump into that, I'm just going to let the guys in the chat know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you. I'm going to talk with David a little bit, ask him a few questions, and then towards the end, we'll take some questions from the live chat. So when we get to that point, just tag myself or David in the chat, and we'll, if you've got any questions about the event. But I guess let's go back to the beginning, I suppose, and talk about how Davecon has come to be. So I've written the date down here. Take us back, Dave. November 26th, 2019. Now, I'm sure you may be wanting to block this out of your mind, I'm sure, but I've got to bring this back up. You sat down for an interview with a man called Lance Gregorchuk about this conference he was involved in organising in Brighton an atheist conference. So I guess what we're going to get to is, as best as you can, take us back through that interview. So I guess first of all, what exactly was Lance's role in organising that event, and secondly, what on earth was going through your mind while that interview was going on? There's a lot to unpack there.
I should also add I've got a little bit of a coronavirus going on, so if I die on the stream, just don't worry, just carry on.
It's all right. I drank Corona beer yesterday. Fine.
I wonder if their sales have been affected. Anyway, see, that's exactly the sort of question I ask on the podcast, because I just go off on a tangent.
Sorry, before you go into it, Dave, there's someone I covered in one of my videos recently who thinks the coronavirus is a conspiracy to sell Corona beer. Okay, so anyway, sorry, we better get back on track. So first of all, what was Lance's role within this, and secondly, what was going through your mind sitting through that interview? Because just to someone who watched it, it was painful. So I can't imagine what you were going through.
So I had invited Lance onto the channel for DRP 96, and he was promoting what was is the key word here, his event called Anti-Theism International Atheist Conference, whatever it was called. It didn't really have a very clear name, frankly, but there we are. And this is an event with Richard Dawkins getting an award. There's going to be a painting of Hitchens that's being auctioned off for charity, and there are some very good things that are happening there, which are very appealing to myself, and I think you were interested in the event at the time as well.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, for perfectly good reason. And I know that Cosmic Skeptic is still speaking there. Aaron Ra was, and Lawrence Krauss was doing a speech as well. So I had Lance on. I didn't actually realize at the time he was drunk. It's obvious now, but I just completely blanked out, because when you start these sorts of live streams, you expect a certain standard, and you don't actually think about, is somebody like completely intoxicated? Like, you would never even perceive whether I was on drugs, like, unless it actually just sort of I looked a bit off now and again, and I had a bit of a moment or something. Like, that thought doesn't even enter my brain. Like, of course nobody coming on my podcast is on drugs, kind of thing. So which he wasn't, but he came on, was very flattering, very, very flattering, far too flattering, given that he was complimenting me about somewhere between 5 to 10 times just on how amazing the podcast was. And then I asked him how much of it he had watched, because I'm always very interested in how far reaching the podcast goes, kind of thing. So
don't tell me his favorite episode was when I was on.
Oh, definitely. When were you on? I can't remember.
I think it was DRP 90, so it wasn't long before Lance.
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah, but not soon after Lance was on then. So he came on, and long story short, he said some very odd things which I challenged in the moment, and I remember challenging him on what he had against Sikhism, because he said he's an anti-theist, and I'm like, well, that includes all theist religions. It's like, what have you got against Sikhs? And this is something that I'd taught for a few weeks prior in a primary school, and I realized there's actually a few different bits I do disagree with, and I agree with others within the religion. So it was nice to have that exposure to that religion. So I wondered what he had experienced, and he diverted the question. He went off into Abrahamic religions. So I asked him again and pressed him on certain points throughout, say, what bits of the podcast have you watched? And he said only the intros, and he said various things like Dawkins and Krauss loved the podcast, and I'm like, seriously? Like, no, but I think they would. like things like that is just like you've said something to try and manipulate me in a particular way. And as the podcast went on, about an hour went past, and he started to say things like, I wasn't asking him any hard questions. I wasn't doing particularly well. He wasn't quite. I wasn't quite what he had perceived me to be in terms of being not quite a speaker at the event, but somebody who would interview people. So Dawkins would have, or Krauss would have his speech, and then they would come over to me and I'd ask them a few questions, similar to the original TED Talks that you would see with Ted. I assume it's a guy called Ted, who they walk over to, and Ted just like asks them a few follow-up questions after their speech, kind of thing. And so he was anchoring for me to have that sort of role. He had offered, by the end, VIP ticket, which is currently 700 quid. My own corner at the event, just for my podcast, but it came at a cost, and it felt like manipulation. It felt like I was trying to be like, what's the word?
I think Rachel in her video used the word negging. He was negging you a lot.
Yeah, it's an interesting to have learned that term, actually. For those who are unaware, negging is something that all of the female podcasters after this were like, whoa, this is outrageous, because it's complimenting you, then it's pinning you down and giving you this sort of backhanded, oh, but you're not that good at this, but I can help you with that. It's like, make you feel good, you're shit, and then I'm the solution, kind of thing. So they were describing Lance as one of their exes in that respect. But the real nub of the point is that he then started to say that I hadn't asked the hard questions, and as such, I then asked him a hard question.
Yeah,
which is, should he be?
Yeah, which is where I was going to go next, actually. But yeah, go ahead. That's kind of where I was going to go next, actually, with my next question. But so,
yeah, he after you.
Well, okay, so you're at this point in the interview, and he's sort of criticizing you didn't ask him any tough questions. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me on this, the question came from your live chat, if I'm not mistaken, about platforming Krauss. Am I right on that? I can't remember if it came from the live chat or if you had that written down on yourself. But
the word Krauss, just to clarify, the word Krauss was written down on my notes, and you can see at roughly 2 minutes into the video, I'm looking down to my right at where my phone would have been at the time. So you are literally the only person that thinks it came from the live chat. You can go back to the live chat, you can check it. It's not.
For some reason, I wasn't.
It was all me.
Yeah, that was your question. So, but either way, no matter where it came from, you did ask him a tough question, but a very fair question, in my opinion. Given obviously that there are these allegations hanging over Krauss, and I've sort of said that my kind of opinion on the thing personally is not necessarily that I have an issue with Krauss being platformed in a sense, but in of itself, but more that what are you going to what sort of concern how are you taking people's concerns about being safe around this man into account, which is what was almost my personal issue with it. But so you asked this question about platforming Lawrence Krauss. So take us through Lance's response, and I guess also want to ask, could Lance have ever possibly answered that question any worse if he tried?
No, unless he had actually admitted to certain crimes. So the question that I had posed to him, there's a wonderful clip. It's my favorite clip of last year, of going over just a 10-minute clip, and it's a full 5 minutes before I get to speak in the actual and answer the question. And it's very important to me to keep that 5 minutes in there, because that build up, that tension is there. Because after 2 minutes, you know that I already know what question I'm going to ask. So after 5 minutes, I said, is it right to platform Lawrence Krauss given his sexual assault allegations? And I've been asked this question since, and I can answer what I think of it. But Lance then went off into saying, absolutely, absolutely. We're not going to talk about this Krauss stuff. We're going to talk about this on guy level. I did it. You did it. And he then went on a bit of a tirade, saying, do you get signals from women? He was correlating Lawrence Krauss, and I clarified the claim being Lawrence Krauss putting his hand up Christina Rad's skirt, and he conflated that with touching somebody on the shoulder like Joe Biden does, in his words. And
I think Donald Trump might have been a better comparison actually there, but
well, he actually mentioned Trump as well. He's not trying to be Donald Trump, he said, but it's like saying, well, I'm not racist, but
yeah. It's not racist. I'm not racist, but black people are, put whatever the pejorative is. Yeah,
insert racism. So he basically said some very, very disturbing things. Well, one thing I didn't say, and I completely ignored your question. This is the PR guy for the whole event.
Now, I'm glad you said that, actually, because I think that is a very, very important thing to take into account. Now, obviously, I'm on a stream here with David. Just to point out for the record here, I'm on a stream with David. Yes, I am drinking beer. Yes, I am plugging Davecon, but I am not the official spokesperson for Davecon. Can I make that point absolutely clear to everybody watching this right now?
Yeah.
So,
there's only one official spokesperson, and that's me.
And that'll be the man I'm talking to right now.
Yeah, there are various different wonderful mods and guests, such as yourself or Faye, that have been very, or particularly people down in the live chat. Dave, for example, who's promoted the event. But given the context of Lance being the PR guy for for some reason on the website it said America, or United States, UK, and mainland Europe. Why they didn't just say Europe as a whole, I don't know.
Yeah.
We are, as of February 1st, we are still part of Europe. This is not like we haven't left the continent.
No Brexit talk. No Brexit talk.
We'll bring that up later. But it's to continue. It's very important to know that while we're going through some of his answers, because I do clarify the specific claim was him putting his hand up her skirt, to which he immediately answered, I don't know how many times I've put my hand up your skirt, but you didn't bitch once. Like, this is a guy who's promoting his event. And so we, over a number of different events that followed, me going on Discord straight afterwards, feeling very uncomfortable, losing a little bit of sleep over it. Rachel Oates came out the next morning with a response video straight away. Shannon Q did a live stream the next evening. A few days later, Mr. Atheist came out with a video on it. Much later, Shannon Q interviewed John Richards, who's the co-organizer, now organizer of the event, who sacked Lance, but he did it and he revealed it on Hemant Mehta's blog for some reason. As everyone was covering the issue back in November, December.
So I was actually gonna say that was kind of gonna be my next question. I think you've near enough answered it already. That and that was about the fallout from this thing, because and the response from Lance, and that I think it's very safe to say that the entire atheist community as a whole was less than impressed with Lance on that. I mentioned obviously Rachel did her video, Shannon, Mr. Atheist, and little old me, just to name a few, and obviously Hemant covered it
for that.
Yeah, well, it all helps, but I mean, I guess Ian, this was in your own words, like you summarise the fallout. Obviously, you mentioned Lance was sacked. Now, I personally, I don't know if you'd agree with me. I don't think that was the aim of anyone, was to get Lance sacked.
No, nobody called for it.
No, I mean, my thing personally, and because I was on that, I think I was on that stream with you on Steve's channel, didn't we? We talked where it was talked about a bit that my thing was, I'd like the organisers to engage with the community a bit and listen to the concerns that very legitimate concerns that were brought up here. Obviously. So I'm going to sort of change this question a little bit, but Lance obviously was fired. Now this guy John, I don't, now although he fired Lance, I don't feel he really did much to, other than that, to really alleviate the situation. I believe he didn't. Did he go on with Shannon? I can't remember.
Yeah, John had an hour with Shannon, but without a camera. So
okay,
I mean, that'll become relevant in a minute.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was going to go from there. Really, that really just to sort of summarise. Obviously, we know what happened to Lance, but then John's kind of response to that. So maybe in your own words, and because obviously I followed this a bit, but you're right at the heart of this. You could really say what happened here, and so maybe if you go into a bit of detail on that, I'd be like, so.
Yeah, so to wind back slightly, straight after the Discord and the fallout and the response videos and that sort of thing, Hemant Mehta was actually one of the last people I told about it, and I thought, haven't I like this is perfect for him, for his blog. And as a whole, just as a side note, I find my role within the community as somebody who is to mainly call out our own bullshit.
Yeah.
Because if we still man our position, we as a whole become stronger. So as much as people want to sort of point over there and go, oh, look at the Catholics, what they're doing or whatever, we need to strengthen our arguments, because we have some very weak arguments in the community. And people are engaging in cognitive dissonance on the epistemology side of things. So I went through every comment. I don't know if you can hear there's a very slight echo. It might just be my earpiece, but let us know down in the live chat if there is anything.
It's not too bad to me.
I went through. It could be on my end.
Okay. Yeah, live chat. Let us know if there's any audio issues here.
Yeah, I think the earpiece helps, but it's irrelevant really. As long as people can hear, it's fine by me. So I was going to say, I've been through all the different comments of Rachel's video, Shannon's video, Mr. Atheist's video, their follow-up videos. I think Rachel did a follow-up video, Mr. Atheist did a follow-up video, and then Shannon did the live stream with John, and I was in the live chat for Shannon's talk. And it's overwhelming support. I don't want to call upon an ad populum or anything, but it seems like, just to reiterate, an extraordinary number of women have come forward and said, this reminds me of my ex. This is, yeah, thank you, IQ.
Sorry, I just saw that one. Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah. Grumpy old Dave is also an official spokesperson. Anyone else called Dave as well. But anyway, so I've gone through all of these different comments, and they're all very flattering. There was also a moment that I think Rachel picked up on, and Mr. Atheist also did, where he said, oh, that was his line, "We're not the best looking guys in the world." And there's so many lovely comments of people underneath, which I have to thank, because I think one of them's got about 460 likes. So.
See, now I'll say this: if I'd have been interviewing him, that statement might have been true, but certainly not in your case, my friend.
You should be so harsh.
No.
Yeah. So sorry, I've completely forgotten your original question, but the reaction as a whole has been mostly like a shock factor. They react in a very visceral way. Very, very, very few are calling upon violence. Like I'd want to punch him in the face or whatever. But most of them were just sickened. They were this horrible, disgusting man.
That's
kind
charming, Spooky.
of thing. God damn it, Spooky. Thanks for all your promo as well. So yeah, I hope that answered the question anyway.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because I think, also John. I mean, he didn't do much to really alleviate anyone's kind of concerns about this. So, so I guess, and I don't, I was very personally disappointed with the way they dealt with the criticism. And I mean, because I seem to remember John. I mean, he sort of said something to Hemmett when Hemmett wrote his piece about why are you messing with my event or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Which to me when I saw that was like, well, I think this is before he had the conversation with Shannon, and I was thinking, well, this doesn't bode well that he's going to take this seriously. So, so we go into this now. Obviously, you in the community feel that a response needs to be made. So a number of us obviously did make those videos, and one of the things we sort of asked for is for some of the speakers to maybe consider withdrawing. Now, at least two that I'm aware of did withdraw. I should just say that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Dave, that some of them probably may have withdrawn, but were kind of contractually obliged at certain points. So perhaps I'll just say to anyone in the community, don't go necessarily hate on anyone who is a speaker at this conference, because they might. You can kind of correct me if I'm wrong on that point, yeah. But is that right? One or two of them were already sort of locked in and couldn't really do much, but at least two that I'm aware of pulled out as a result. Could you speak on that a little bit?
Well, whether they're contractually obliged, I don't think there's any paperwork done. Given straight after my stream with Lance, he said something very odd, which nobody would have seen, and you have to take my word for it. But he said he never puts these sorts of things in writing. He's not stupid enough to put it in writing. And I'm like, that was me confirming, like, oh, so there's like a hotel for me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the obvious answer would be, oh yeah, we will cover that. Yeah, don't worry about it. But his answer was like, I'm not stupid enough to put things into on paper. Like, it's bizarre. And then sorry, yeah, he just to go on a slight side note, John made that Twitter comment.
thank you, thank you, Dave. Sorry,
I voted against. John made the comment that said he was basically explaining how he's sacked Lance to Hemmant, as if Hemmant was the only one who was covering this. I think they're just completely oblivious of what was going on YouTube and Twitter, because they're not on it as a platform, so they would have read Hemmant's stuff. And then he went back and forth with a few of the commenters as well in just a very unprofessional manner. Then he had a go at Hemmant, and then he had his interview with Shannon, to which he said things like, are you going to be in the kitchen for Christmas? Confirmed that Lance was still potentially a funder and could attend the event. He said that he's not at liberty to explain who his funders are.
I've never had
a bit odd.
I've never had an actual conversation with Shannon. I mean, obviously, often exchanging a few tweets and Facebook sort of posts, but I got to get the feeling that if you want to make a crack about women in the kitchen, you want to run very, very fast after if you're going to do that to Shannon. So, yeah, not the wisest move, I wouldn't have thought.
Clearly didn't know her, and this is all done without a screen as well, and it was done deadpan.
Yeah,
like it's one thing doing deadpan when you can actually see me and you know me, but it's like, yeah. Oh, there was another thing I didn't mention. Again, I'm not answering your question. You're gonna have to re-ask this question because I've forgotten it. But we then because I clipped that 10-minute moment with Lance, and they're having a gala dinner with Atheist Awards, and so I asked people to vote, and people did for video of the year being that particular clip. And I got an email a few weeks ago from John saying, well, if you want this award, you're gonna have to it's like, hang on a second, are you saying that you still think I'm going?
Well, he wants you there in person to accept this. And what is that? Is that suggesting to me that that may have won the award? That he wants you there in person to collect it, maybe.
I think everything else got so little votes, he has no choice. But we'll see if that actually gets the award. We don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, that was it. He wanted an interview.
Perhaps at Davecon, if someone could, if there is anyone at that other event who can maybe tell us what's going on, maybe we can get you to go up on stage and do an acceptance speech at Davecon.
Oh, it would be so good.
That would be so much fun. That really would.
Streaming, yeah. If there's some sort of live stream from the gala, which there won't be because it's like however much money to actually get into the gala itself. Yeah. I think it's something like 80 just for the gala.
I was going to say that was one thing even before the Lance thing that was kind of putting me off of it, was that, just the basic tickets were a lot of money. But we can get into that a little bit later anyway, when we start going into details of your event. But I suppose that is kind of leading me to where I wanted to go next with this, which is, so we've had this thing where there's been the response, and I saw the thing where you said, well, let's get that video of Lance voted. But when did the actual idea of holding, you creating your own event or as an alternative first occur to you? When do you think this is a viable option here?
So yeah, I now remember your previous question. So I don't think they were under contractual obligation.
Oh, okay.
But there were some things attached to attending. This is how they get you in. It's actually very theistic in that respect. So John was trying to do the same to me. So Aaron obviously had non-refundable flights to come over to London, and he also was being promised a hotel. So to drop out of the event for his own morality, he had to forego the hotel, and he now has non-refundable flights. So we crowdfunded his Airbnb for the week, so he at least had somewhere to stay. But then it's still wasted money to him because it's just going for a holiday, and it's a lot of money, something like $1,200. So plus the $600 that he needed for the Airbnb. So we crowdfunded the Airbnb, and then it felt like, well, there needs to be an event, and it felt like it was the right thing to be able to put on an event that was showing a better face for the community, because there's so many different people coming back in the comments saying, I really want to get involved in this community, but now I don't.
Yeah.
Because of that sort of thing, that sort of behavior. So, I mean, even to the extent where, on a tangent, I have also received that sort of message towards me over the past weekend or so. And I could happily explain the context of that. Don't have to, but
if it's not sort of directly related to the event, maybe we can talk off air about it if you want. But
it was following on from Dawkins' tweets about eugenics, and it was just two people on two different sides.
I think that could be. Yeah, to be honest, I kind of had a think about that myself. I think that could be a whole nother stream in itself, to be honest. So I think maybe we could leave that for another occasion, perhaps.
Sure. Yeah. So where were we? Setting up an event. Yeah. So
yeah,
all the stars were aligning, as it were, and I thought, well, let's actually look into it. Let's see whether it's possible, like what's involved with organising your own event, just from a curiosity perspective of Faithless Forum and Atheist Assemble that came a few months earlier. I was just interested, kind of thing. So renting out a room, selling tickets shouldn't be too hard. Oh, then there's catering, then there's the venue. What about transport for everybody? Thank you, Dave. You know, there's now ideas about security, being able to film the event, being able to film live at the event with my internet connection. So yeah, and my timing obviously being slightly late, but there was enough there to go, actually, you know what, Aaron, we can, you know, he was saying in emails that he was losing sleep over this. So we said, if we put on an event, would you come along? And he said yes. Straight away, so I then tried to find out who I could get. So Rachel was in straight away. Rachel was all on board.
Yeah.
Then I realized that I think Rationality Rules, Stephen Woodford was contacted in the midst of all of this by John to try and be at Anti-Theism International's event, which he rejected. And is obviously now.
Well, I'm sure Rachel would have had. I'm sure Rachel would have had words with him if he'd gone. So, because they're very good friends as far as I'm aware.
I know that they also spoke to Cosmic Skeptic, who will be on the channel some point in the next month, over March, to discuss it, which is interesting because that's before the event. So
that is interesting.
Because
that's interesting. Yeah,
I mean, veganism.
Yeah, that's good. That's a subject. That's a subject I just don't touch, to be honest. Because
have you got 4 hours?
Yeah, well, so it's like, damn, I'm kind of one of those people. I understand the ethical issues, but god damn, I love my bacon sandwich sort of people. So, you know, but
yeah, I've lost where we were.
So yeah, we were going through the sort of process of organising the event. And how difficult has this actually been? I mean, I'm assuming this is something you're looking into, and I'm assuming you haven't really done anything like this before. I mean, I certainly have no experience of putting on events, so I wouldn't know what would go into it. I mean, how's this been as an experience? Has it been a difficult thing, or has it been like just an exciting thing, or you learning? I mean, obviously you're kind of learning as you go, I assume, with this.
Yeah, absolutely. There's various different moments where I think, this has been completely easy, and it has. There's been, in terms of setting stuff up, it's not particularly difficult. Everyone can make their own website. Everyone can contact these events. There's great websites out there that are like venue trackers that try and find the best venue for your event. And you can find the map and the location, and then you can see stuff that's nearby. And there's a tick list of like, this event has X and Y, but it doesn't have Z, and that sort of thing. So it's been very interesting trying to get a central location for the price that I have, and in London, and getting the guests that I have. So everything's pointing towards sellout event. But the most anxiety inducing thing is the actual selling of the tickets.
Yeah.
Would I do some things differently? Yes, I would do more promo build up before I put the tickets on sale.
Okay.
But I also realize that an event with this sort of background and the reaction we got on particularly someone like Rachel's channel, I'm sure that she'll be able to get 30 people to come along. Rationality
Well,
Rules will get 30 people to come along, etc. You know.
well, this is kind of what we're here to do tonight. Is kind of shield the remaining tickets as much as we can. So it's kind of what we're here to do tonight. So yes, I got through that. So let's talk about, obviously, we're just going to briefly we're just gonna kind of just plug the hell out of this for a moment, and that's we've got the main event. If you want to go into that, this is going to be a debate, as I understand it, between Aaron Rohr and Lloyd Evans. Now, do you want to touch on what that debate's going to be?
So, given the circumstances, the main event, the headline event, is technically the last event, which would be the Women in Atheism event. But yes, the first event of 3 will be a debate between Aaron Rohr and Lloyd Evans, who both reacted extremely enthusiastically to this debate. I think if the audience wasn't there, they would still just turn up. They've been so great. And the idea is that they have a flashback debate, which is something where you end up going back to your former self and you defend your old religion. So in Aaron's case, it's neo-paganism.
Yeah.
Since he didn't buy into Mormonism.
Yeah, because I was wondering which one he would be actually defending, actually, because I know but as a former polytheist, obviously, sorry, Lloyd, but I'm kind of going to be Team Aaron on that one. I'm sorry, I'm going to be biased in that one.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be an audience vote as well. You're going to get little wristbands, and you're going to end up writing on them and voting. So Lloyd is obviously defending Jehovah's Witness, but the added little tidbit is that Deanna and their 2 kids are going to be there. So just sort of try and get your head around this for a second.
I'll put this up on the I'll put this up on the screen as a question in here. So
I'll answer that in just a second.
Okay.
So yeah, just get your head around this bit. Lloyd Evans will be on stage defending Jehovah's Witness in front of his wife and young kids that have all been shunned by Lloyd's dad, who has never met them. And you at the event will get to meet Lloyd's family before his own dad.
Wow.
Like,
I mean, you're gonna whoever. If I presume you're going to be introducing it, you're going to have to do your best Michael Buffer impression for just before the debate, sort of like, "Ooh, let's get ready to rumble."
Get the lights going.
So we covered Lloyd versus Aaron, and which I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I think that is going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be hysterical. There's also Q&A, I should say.
Q&A, yeah.
So
the next thing on the bill after that, go.
So given that event is more to do with the past and their former religions, we've now got the middle section, which is about the present, and will be an interview, a live podcast from my channel with Rationality Rules about the present polarization, politics. I know Steve has done a anti-second referendum video, which I did very proud of my response video to him on that, which I think he's now watched and hasn't responded to, obviously because it's too good.
I think, well, I'm definitely interested in that, because I do like Stephen, and he's a fellow Hampshire boy. I'm not going to say exactly. I know he's not far. I know he's not far away from me. Although I've got to say, probably politically, he and I probably have some different opinions on a few things. But I'm definitely going to be interested to see that. So
I've only just noticed your gaming chair as well. We'll bring that up later. Remind me.
Yeah, now all I need to do is have some games to play.
Yeah. Feel free to join me on Twitch. So, sorry. So I'll be talking to Rationality Rules in a sort of, I guess, in a anti-woke sort of way. And I don't mean necessarily certain ideas that some of the left have come up against, but I view, as I said at the start, my role is to steel man my side, atheism, the left of politics, that sort of thing. And so when I see bad arguments, like I did for the referendum, and it was like things like, well, people have died now. It's like, you're not going to convince people. You're going to turn people are going to switch off as soon as you say we should do another referendum because people have died. That is morbid. You're having a referendum every day. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
I kind of agree with you on that one. That I kind of agree with you on that particular point. But I mean, that's a whole other thing. Because
sure.
I mean, believe it or not, there are people on the left who were sort of pro Brexit in this as well. So believe it or not,
yeah, I should say that.
Because people are actually. I mean, we're going off a tiny bit. I'll get this back on track in a sec. But I just want to say,
my bad.
There are believe it or not, there's a lot of people have this misconception about the Brexit thing, that it's the right that was a pro Brexit, and the left will remain. I mean, I suppose in some cases it's a generalization, but it's a bit more to it than that. I mean, if you want to look at a lot of the groups on the real left, like something like Socialist Workers' Party, the Communist Party, whatever. Council Fire, a lot of those groups, most of them were pro leaving, so there's a bit more to it than people perhaps realise.
Yeah, it's important to clarify. So me and Steve can certainly clash on a certain number of issues, and so in a polite way, obviously.
I mean,
we'll be talking about,
I think he's someone that
polarization.
I've never met him or had a conversation with him, but I think he's the kind of guy that, from just what I've seen of him, that he and I were probably not going to agree on an awful lot politically, but could probably have a good conversation with him. I think not be just because we disagree, doesn't mean we have to be antagonistic and whatever, which I think is something that's getting lost an awful lot now.
Yeah, we'll definitely agree with one another on not just us two, but with Steve, on the manner in which we should be having these conversations.
Yeah,
and how we should, we'll agree that the outraged sort of hysteria needs to stop, and I think people see through it. I don't think this is buying any votes at all. We're hemorrhaging support for our cause, and it's damaging.
I think on either side of the arguments, I mean, hyperbole does not help either side, I don't think.
No, not at all. But that again has another Q&A, as does all the sections of the event. But we're going to end.
Yeah, good. Because glad you're getting this back on track now. But yeah, because we almost went off into a tangent there. But okay, so I know I kind of jokingly billed Aaron and Lloyd as the main event because it had that whole big fight, fight feel about it, But there's the last thing. It's a panel, I believe. Is it panel Q&A? And would you like to take it from here and explain what you've got going on?
So, I mean, the main issue was trying to oppose Lance and John's event, and we're sort of touching upon it in a very subtle way, like it's an in-joke now for people who are unaware. There's going to be various. I'm sure I'm going to come up with various different references throughout the evening that if you understand them, then some people in the audience might recognize it and laugh, and then others will be like, what's he going on about? And that sort of in-joke will go throughout, but the in-joke being, obviously, this was a huge deal in terms of the way in which sexual assault was not being taken seriously by Lance or John at their event. And so we have an all-women panel discussing whatever they like. They've got the floor. I haven't guided them at all, but I think it's something that might come up, particularly when they're talking about their own YouTube channels. and how they end up dealing with the abuses that they do, given that you see it all the time, with especially somebody like Faye, who had an attempt on her life by her own dad at 20. Rachel Oates, who's done a number of incel videos. Like these people have experienced stuff, you know. I didn't actually explain. I don't know if I've actually said this. Oh, I'm just going to say it anyway. It doesn't actually matter. It may or may not be an exclusive for you. I don't know, but part of that panel will be Lalandra Ra as well.
That now I've got to admit, this is the first I've heard of this. So hey, maybe this. Yeah, hey guys, maybe you are getting an exclusive here. Breaking news, Davecon news, but because that'd be interesting.
The profile.
Yeah, now because I did read Aaron's book, and from what I gather, that they kind of met because Lalandra was a Christian or whatever, and was one of the few people that took Aaron up on one of his written debate challenges, and and that's kind of how they met. If I'm not, I mean, Aaron could probably tell the story, but just reading Aaron's book, I think that was I get the feeling that that's how he and Lalandra met, was that they actually, like, she what used to be a creationist and took him up on an argument on that online, and weird how these things work out.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I don't really know too much other than she, you know, is an activist in her own right. So yeah, there'll be an all women's panel at the end that will be given a little bit more time as well, because the event officially finishes 10:30, but we have the room until 11. So if they run over, I'm not really that fussed, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to run over now. I'm going to say that we don't want to run over too long, though, because I do believe there has been an after party spoken about.
Yes. So initially I had got some very nice offers from Faye and Faye the Most Gracious, who's speaking, and Zara K to volunteer at the event, both ex-Muslims, and it didn't seem right to have Faye taking, like, being on the door, as it were, and volunteering, as well as being on stage. It wouldn't look particularly good. So there was too much work for Zara, as it were. And then Jimmy Bangash, who I've just had on my channel, who's one of the gems. He's a gay ex-Muslim. And
oh my word!
he says,
I've got to go back and watch that. I missed that one. I must go back and watch that.
That's quite all right. It's a good one. It's a really good one. Very insightful as to the experience of gay ex-Muslims.
Yeah.
Really shocking. It's obviously limited monetization. You know, it's a good podcast if I can get the yellow dollar sign on it.
It's always a good conversation when you get demonetized. You know that.
Yeah, you got to aim for it.
Yeah.
So he's got his birthday on the Monday. That Monday, I think, like 6th or whatever it is. So it's like he's been joking that we're setting up this event for him, and he's just sort of run with it. So he's in charge of the after party. He'll show everybody a good time. Cost, no idea. Where it is, no idea. We're just following him.
So more details to follow. If I have to have Dave back on to plug the after party, we'll do that.
I'm not going to find out either. I doubt Jimmy will know about 5 minutes before where he's going.
Yeah, but yeah, I think. But again, I touched on this earlier. Now, David, I'm going to ask 2 questions. Number 1.
Here we go.
The conference in Brighton, what were the ticket prices again?
So, because John keeps banging on about it, yes, ticket prices do start somewhere around 79, 89 quid or something. I can actually get them on screen if you like.
Please do.
I
thought they were more than that.
On the website for a while.
To be honest, I actually thought they were more than that, basic tickets, but
they start at that point? Well, for very specific things. So
Yeah, because
one moment.
so something I looked at was around 180, so but I can't remember what it was.
Sure thing. So if if this is going to be much slower. So that one, share, if I may.
Oh, what's happening there? What's this?
So this is their website.
Okay, hold on. Why am I having problems bringing this up?
I wouldn't know. I can't actually see because I'm on the page itself.
There we go. Sorry, you got to understand. I'm a bit of a luddite here, David. So
that's quite all right. Don't worry.
So if you want to take us through that.
What were on a complete tangent again? What were the Luddites? Were they Russian?
They were the sort of people. That was kind of they were sort of the people in the sort of early part of the Industrial Revolution who were sort of known for, like, mill burning, that kind of thing. Like that, I suppose the terms kind of got a term for like sort of people who are like technophobes or technologically inept, like myself. So,
okay.
but yeah, it's actually interesting because the term was based off of a man supposedly called Ned Ludd, who was supposed to have led this movement, but there's no actual like historical records of this guy ever existing, and he seems like he's kind of a sort of almost mythical, like Robin Hood kind of figure.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I knew it was like working class rising up.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Anyway, so this page is skipping for some reason, but there we are. The weekend pass, 200.
Yeah, that's what
so the
I
banquet,
saw. Yeah.
Okay, the prices have gone up since I last checked, I think. Concession 150, sessions 170, banquet 100, just for the banquet alone. I realised at Faceless Forum that they're doing a VIP lunch and a VIP dinner, and they're $100 each.
Okay,
which sounds equally pricey, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know why it costs that much, but there we are. Especially from my experience of setting up these sorts of events, they will give you the option of like what catering option do you want. It'd be something like that they'll give you a menu and it'll be like hot buffet options, 13 quid per person, minimum orders 20 for this food or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, speakers only for that weekend, 169. I think it's just the Saturday, the whole Saturday and the morning of the Sunday.
Wow.
Gala award with the videos, 99 quid. VIP was, last time I checked at the start of the month, it was actually 699. It's now 799. It's gone up to 800.
Wow.
That includes 2 nights, champagne after party in some suite, like fancy master suite, whatever they've got, and they've got a presentation, book signings, and photo opportunities that you have to spend this much money to get.
So we are, either way we're looking at this, we're talking about a lot of money here. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So, which leads me to my next question, Dave. So I'm going to get rid of this off the screen. Are you okay?
Yeah, go for it. That's all right.
So we've heard what the tickets for that event are and all the costs there. So the next question is, and I'm going to do a drum roll into this, Dave, what are the prices of the tickets for Davecon?
400. No, it's 20 quid.
£20. 20.
So I could. We don't want to mislead people with the framing effect or anything, because that would be a logical fallacy. And just putting them both up next to each other, but it is genuinely worth it. You can look at all the finances. Actually, we can go to the finances straight away if you want me to screen share again.
Yes. please send us that.
I can go over the exact finances because I felt like there was a degree of transparency that John wasn't giving when he was saying, look, there's a number of different, hold on. He couldn't reveal who was funding his event, which is very odd to me because if he wasn't, hold on a second, this isn't loading.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Try that
Do you want me to remove that?
Probably it's unresponsive at the minute.
Okay,
So let me
again.
try that again.
Just let me know when you've got it up. I'll try and share it.
Sure thing. I mean, the whole point, I didn't say this earlier, but when he said, I can't reveal my sort of sponsors, as it were, it's like, well, why are they sponsoring the event? Surely a sponsor would want their name to be out there.
So do you have it now, David? Because I've got something in my...
No, it's not at all. I don't know. I'm going to go off of screen sharing for a second.
Just let me know when you do have it. I'll be...
Yeah, it's being a bit odd. I don't know why.
Thank you, Spooky.
But,
yeah.
So it seems very logical to conclude that the financing for the event is still coming from Lance, and that he's still allowed to attend the event as such because that's where his money's going, and so he's got a degree of control over what's actually happening at the event. I can't get the page up. I don't know why, but I'll just talk.
Okay.
So people can visit worleydr.com and you can check out for yourself the exact finances. It's got its own little page.
I will say that the link to DR conference is in the description of this hangout, as well as Dave's Twitter account and his channel information. So I put that in there, and critical. I know I believe he's put it in here. See, so you're sharing there with critical. He's very good at sharing stuff throughout the chats anyway. So
yeah, that's not loading for some reason. Oh yeah, I forgot the question earlier. As far as I'm aware, Anti-Ordinary Demi has not purchased a ticket. She's not speaking at the event. We've got a full panel now, so yeah, I don't know whether that's a sort of pro or against message, but
yeah,
she might be there. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see if she buys a ticket. I suppose.
I mean, I haven't had her on yet, but I still would. I don't have an issue with Demi. She hasn't done anything.
I have no
issue.
I'm going to say this because people. I will just put this out there because Demi's got some issues with people that I get along with at the moment, but I have never had a crossword with Demi, and I have no beef with her whatsoever. So I'm going to put that out there, and till she hasn't done anything to me. She hasn't done anything bad to me, and she's always been good to me. So I can't just because she's had some issues with some people that may be friends of mine at the moment. I'm not, I'm not holding that against her, and I'm just staying out of that one. So if anyone wants to ask, so.
Yeah, I have to say, given the whole guilt by association stuff that was happening this time last year with Steve and the ACA and
I think there was
they who should not be named.
Yeah, I've mentioned that person once on my channel, and I think you saw it, Dave, when I was visibly upset about that. It was actually very triggering for me personally. That's definitely one person I would never encompass ever having on my channel and talking to under any circumstances. That's definitely not somebody I would ever encompass having a conversation with. Although I did kind of laugh to see that that person has gone after the writer of Father Ted of all people recently, which I found a bit weird. And I was like,
I saw that earlier. Yeah, I
Yeah.
went through a load of different things on my. What I normally do is just create my own TV channel through Watch Later on YouTube, and that's just Watch Later.
To be
Watch
honest, I
Later,
think just someone should make a response
It's
to.
interesting.
I think someone should just make a response to that person's video with Father Jack clips. To be honest, like, feck off, cup, arse, girls. You know, just
I
do a
I haven't
response.
seen it in so long.
That's
It's
my
fantastic,
that is my
Father
favorite
Ted.
comedy of all time. Right, so I think I'm pretty much at the
Only
end.
Fools.
Oh, Only
Only
Fools is
Fools.
up there. Only
You
Fools
sure?
is up there, but Father Ted's my personal favourite. I'm
All
quite
right.
into the anarchic stuff, like the Young Ones and the New Statesmen, stuff like that. But
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
so let's see. I don't think we've got that many people in the live chat, but
Hey.
I'm going to throw because I think I've asked Dave pretty. Actually, no, there was one last. I apologise. There was one last question I wanted to ask Dave, and then after that, I'll throw it open to the chat if you've got anything you'd like to ask Dave about Davecon.
About
Okay.
Davecon. You have to
Yeah.
reiterate that point.
Or, yeah.
Dave.
We're talking about the event here. This is the purpose of this hangout.
Yeah.
So, one last question. Obviously, what are you hoping to achieve with Davecon? And then the big one after that would be, if this event's successful, will we see Davecon 2021?
You may even see so much to see another one this year, if it's successful. Because if you can't go or for whatever reason you're in the UK, based typically in the South, and you're interested in going to one of these events but can't that particular night for whatever reason, you can join the mailing list, which is on the homepage of WorleyDR.com. When you're buying tickets, just scroll down. You could subscribe there, or go to the contact page. You can subscribe there, and you'll get what will eventually become a newsletter and updates to future events. So what I'm actually trying to achieve with the event is, contrary to literally nobody's beliefs, I'm not trying to like make huge amounts of profit off the event, because you've got to sell at least 2/3 of the tickets to break even. And anybody will tell you that when they're organising these sorts of events. But
if you're trying to, well, let's be honest. If you were trying to make a lot of money, the tickets would be a lot more than £20.
Damn straight. So yeah, these so to go back, excuse me. Hopefully we can create an alternative event that could then, I guess, be a platform to producing other events in the future, which would be slightly bigger. I know we've discussed, and I'm sure we could discuss off air, a future event as well that you were thinking of doing close to where you live.
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, we'll give a little teaser. We'll give a little teaser for people watching that Dave and I have kind of mentioned a couple of times.
Jeff's going to do naked karaoke on stage.
We're trying to sell people on the event, not to turn them away. But no, we have just sort of passingly mentioned that maybe we'll look into an event down in my neck of the woods on the south coast or Southampton or something, which depends on how things go, and I'd obviously have to look into venues down there and the cost and everything, and but I think personally, I think we should see how this event goes first, and then we should go from there. I think personally, but so there is there's a teaser there for a potential future event, but that's not in writing, and there's no promises being made here.
Sure.
So
yeah, and there's definitely speakers that could go down. See, for example, I have to get back in 2 weeks to Dave Warnock, who will be over here during Faithless Forum time, like that sort of week. He's there for a number of weeks, and then he's got an event in Reading, I think.
Okay.
It's given the costs, it's going to cost me like 1,700 quid to get out to Faithless Forum, so that's very, very unlikely to happen. now.
Critical Cripple says Manchester in the chat, I believe. So,
City are banned from the Champions League. Did you forget the last bit of that sentence?
Well, I made a joke on Twitter the other day that for a lot of the annoyed Brexiteers at Schiphol Airport, that look on the bright side, at least it's not going to be clogged up with Man City fans for the next couple of years.
Oh, that post though was so dumb.
But the thing is, I don't even think that's got anything to do with Brexit. I think there was something else going on there from what I've read. And I've been, let's just say, one place I've flown to a number of times is Amsterdam, and I think only once have I had a real issue getting through Schiphol Airport, and then that was back in 2005. The last time I had a problem with that.
Yeah, if we're true skeptics, we can't just pin it on the EU.
Yeah.
We don't specifically know that, but let's pin it on it anyway because we're angry. So yeah.
I guess now, I don't know who's there. I know Dave's in the live chat. But if there's anyone in the live chat now who has any questions they'd like to ask Dave about the event, now is your opportunity to do so. So,
while I'm still alive.
Yeah. Well, actually, whilst I'm waiting for anyone to write something, so we established something. Dave, what is the sort of sexual harassment policy of Davecon? Because I think that's going to be a big one. Actually, I probably should have brought this up earlier.
Yeah, sure thing. So you could read it in full on the website that I can't get up for some reason, which is really annoying.
Is that your website?
It is.
Okay.
Where you can buy tickets. It's the same as the ticket.
I'll see if I can bring it up. It might take me a little while, but
yeah, that's probably a good idea.
That's probably
so.
Yeah, that's probably. I'll see if I can bring it up in a minute. But yeah, go ahead, Dave. Yeah.
Sure thing. Yeah. So basically, the event will have a degree of flexibility, and I want to explain that because I can imagine me having a few pop shots at somebody like Dave for attending, and because we're amongst friends and moderators and we're within this community, so there may be certain comments that are said which might be deemed as offensive by the woke, as it were, and that's not protected within the code of conduct. What the code of conduct does is prevents action from happening, but protects your right to freedom of speech. So you still have the right to ask a lot. There'll be plenty of opportunities to ask questions and have your questions responded to, but the actions themselves there will be zero tolerance on. So there's security at the event, there's security cameras at the event. We can check as to whether an event has actually happened. If somebody claims that something has happened, we'll take them to one side away from everybody else, and we could take the accuser to one side, and then we can say, like, here's the security camera footage, this is what actually happened. We can have a conversation and say, this person, let's say they felt somebody up in a similar vein to what happened to Christina Rad, or allegedly happened to Christina Rad. I very much doubt they're going to retract on such an action, and so I reserve the right to throw people out. I'm
just sticking that link up in whilst you're talking, Dave. So
sure. I would immediately go off and deal with the situation. I am on stage for the middle hour, so if there was an accusation that came forward, security would initially deal with that situation, and they're briefed on the code of conduct and what is expected of people. People have to agree to the code of conduct when they buy tickets. It also involves a
John, I knew I should have read that before purchasing my ticket, but
nobody called Jeff is allowed. That's why you're an honorary Dave. It's
and
fine.
any long-haired Southampton fan is not allowed into the conference. Yeah.
You just have to shave it off. That's all you have to do.
Mm.
So, yeah, in all seriousness, the accusations will be taken very seriously,
Yeah.
and dealt with by the security that is paid for. And as such, I didn't really go into the finances that much, but that comes under the finances and the cost. If people are coming back to me like they did, there was at least one, possibly two people on Reddit. I mean, Reddit's much of a cesspool anyway, but they were saying
I
20
don't
quid's
go
too
on there. I've
expensive.
got to be honest. So
Yeah, they were claiming 20 quid's too expensive for some reason, but the costs are laid out in full. It involves, includes security, it includes refreshments, it includes the venue, and that's another thing I said, that the venue's got its own terms and conditions I have to abide by as a rentee.
Okay.
So that's something that I've included as well. So you know what I have to adhere to, and I expect everybody else to adhere to at the event.
Right. I'm going to flag up one question from Critical Cripple in the chat here,
Oh,
but
no.
I believe this kind of question may have already been answered. So
yeah, I think Dave was asking, has he answered the anti-ordinary question?
oh no,
as well,
this one I put up here. What's
10
the
minutes
status
ago.
of the after party?
Yeah, both questions have been answered. So Jimmy's
Yeah.
going to be doing the after party, and it's his birthday that Monday. So I can put in a word to make sure that it's a disability accessed area. I'm sure that most clubs and wherever they're going to go is has that access there as well. And I should say there is I made a mistake in cognition. There's actually 2 spaces for wheelchair users at the event. So yeah, not one, but yeah. I think Dave's taking one of them, and another one's free.
Can I ask that before I put Critical Cripple
Available, I should say.
Can I just ask before these other questions you've got, are they related to the conference or the after party? Just want to clarify.
Yeah, before we put those
Before I
where
put
it's
them
going
up
to
on
be. So
screen.
yeah, I technically haven't got into it. So to explain, just in case those are the questions that are meant to be asked, David Game College is where we're going to host it. It's a very intimate, tiny little area for about 180 people plus speakers, and each of the speakers are allowed a +1, which is normally their partner. And as such, refreshments.
There we go. I think it's the after
provided.
party he was referring to anyway. But yeah, please go ahead, David.
That's all right. Saturday, 4th of April, 7:30 till 10:30 p.m. Doors open an hour before at 6:30, and then after that, we've got the room until 11. So we'll have to be kicked out by 11. But after that, I have absolutely no idea what Jimmy's going to do for the after party. I suspect it's going to be fun and outrageous. I do recommend looking at the certain part of the website as well, which will have it will highlight the local hotels, and I think some of them go down to 70 something, 80 quid for a night. So it's manageable, particularly given that the cost of the ticket's gone down to where it is. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got to say, I think the event is very, very reasonably priced, personally. So, look, this is any other questions anyone in the chat wants to ask. We're probably gonna bring this stream to an end shortly. So this is any last minute questions anyone wants to get in. We'll give it a few seconds. Well, I don't know how many people are in the chat, but
that's all right. As part of the promo for the event, we're going to get as many speakers as I can to do a podcast throughout March, promoting the event on my channel. So I know that Lloyd, I'm going to have to refer to notes. Lloyd Evans is going to be on.
We know what critical
third.
cripples. We know what critical cripples bunking arrangements here are now. So, if anyone's interested in that,
brilliant. I was going to say, as far as podcasts go, if you want to hear more about the event and updates and that sort of thing, which there won't be too many of, Lloyd Evans will be on the 4th of March. Faye will be on the 11th. Is that right? 11th. And Aaron Ra is going to be on with Lalandra, hopefully on the 28th, UK evenings. So there's going to be more. I will obviously not have one with Russian Aggie rules before then, because we're going to have one on the night live, and that will be streamed live on YouTube if I can sort myself out. And I've got this swanky new camera as well, so it should be a much better quality than my live stream from the event was the other day.
Brilliant. Okay, so I guess we're probably gonna call this a night in a few minutes. First of all, I will say just a big shout out, thanks to myself for getting me, whilst this was going on, for getting me over 200 subs, which I've been closing in on for seemingly forever, but I didn't think I'd ever get there. And David picked up on it before I did, so thanks everyone who's come along and watched this.
Unsubscribed immediately.
Yeah, I'm sure they will after this has gone off the air. Obviously, if you're not subbed to Dave's channel already, why aren't you? You should be subbed to him, and please go and sub to him. He's got a brilliant channel. But so I guess this brings to now. Okay, so I've been on your channel, you've been on mine. I suppose, is it my turn to go back on yours again at some point in the future? I don't know. We've got to do this. We've got to do this again sometime. Either way, but
we'll talk about the postal workers that we weren't allowed to talk about before.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Yeah. Well. Hopefully I can get clearance on that this time, because I was on. There was something to get onto. Just to people to tease something in the chat. There was something that I wanted to talk to Dave about. The last time when I went on there, but I was kind of under a gag order, and which is it's a long story to get into, but
yeah,
hopefully I won't be in future, because let's just say it looks like the issue's going to kick off again, so it could be interesting. A few months ahead, I believe. So we'll look at what we share in here in chat.
Thanks, Dave.
So, like I said, please. The links are in the description to Dave's channel, to Dave's Twitter, and most importantly to Davecon. If you're around April 4th, if you're in the UK, you feel something you can get to, please go purchase a ticket. You will not regret this. So, okay. So right now I'm going to say thanks to Dave for joining me, and it's been Jeff for God the Scummer. I shall see you guys all later. Salute.
Take care.